Hi.
G'day.
Okay, so here we are at the Art Cafe. Obviously very artistic, and I'm with my very dear friend and collaborator Darryl Reeves. But today it's in the role of Darryl being a businessman, an entrepreneur, someone with decades of experience of negotiating, running business, doing sales, being a mover and shaker in the real world of business. And Darryl's, look, I'll let him introduce himself in a moment, but the purpose of this is...
We only had an hour.
Yeah, so you'll get an hour-long introduction to Darryl. So the whole purpose of this is for Darryl to really share his experience of human design, ask me the hard questions, and really for us to explore together where human design is going and how it can be used in the future to really facilitate you experiencing success in a truly elegant way. So, Darryl, introduce yourself, mate.
Well, my greatest claim to fame is that I'm the father of 3 kids, and 2 of them are adults in their 30s, doing very well, well-liked, successful and happy, and that to me is the greatest statement anybody can make about themselves is, the fact that they've had profound influence on other people's lives, and those people are living testimonies to who they are. And I guess whether it's as a parent, as an educator like yourself, as a business person, everybody's got their areas that they feel like they've had a great outcome.
Right.
Yeah, at least I hope there are. I hope there's something like that for everybody out there. I guess there's some people out there who are really struggling to try and find even one area of success. That's certainly mine. In my business side of things, I've had a lot of different forays into lots of different areas of business and community. I've worked for not-for-profits for a very, very large period of my time as a well, that's my church life.
Right, okay. Tell me about the church life. That's fascinating.
Yeah, well, I grew up in a preacher's home, so I was called a PK, a preacher's kid. And that presents its own challenges because you're already weird right from the get-go.
Right.
There's not many preacher's kids out there, but I was one. And so people have a different expectation about you in your life. And my dad was a very strong man and a very opinionated man, and very quick to enforce his views. So I grew up in a very defined family way, very religious, very focused on serving God. We were evangelical, sort of the Pentecostal, the louder end of Christianity, not the soft end of Christianity. I was the louder end, and I guess it kind of suits my life. But ended up in the ministry in my early 20s for a couple of decades and had a great success in terms of, if you consider numbers attending your church, if you consider your annual budget, if you consider the number of people you're employing, if you consider the number of lives that you're able to practically assist by way of orphanages and all kinds of charitable events all around the world, then I had a successful ministry. In terms of success, in terms of inner satisfaction and feeling like I was really fulfilling my highest possible outcomes, perhaps less so. And in my 30s, I started seriously looking into that, and that led me to the point at 40 years of age resigning the ministry, and as it turned out, resigning my then 20-year-old relationship, marriage to the mother of my 2 children. That was a really, really tough time. And then I went into just full-on commerce and making money, using my talents in that way. And again, if the measuring stick was bank accounts and money is raised, I've raised tens of millions of dollars in my life, and had multiple successful businesses, including taking a private company from launch. Within 18 months, we were listed on the Australian Stock Exchange with many, many millions of dollars. So if that's success, if that's your version of success, then I've had it. Today, I own the largest online shopping mall in the world. If that's your version of success, I've got it. But I think success is much, much deeper than that. And, you know, when you strip away those things like money in the bank, like commercial achievements, like sporting achievements, like achievements in the arts, whatever they are, at the end of the day, when you're all alone by yourself in your room, there's just you. What is it that makes you a success or not is pretty much an internal disposition. So in human design speak, you know, what would you say was a person who was a success because human design came into their life?
Right.
What difference can human design make to me when I'm in my room by myself that makes me feel like I'm a success?
Yeah, very good question. By the way, everyone, we're in a cafe, so you're going to hear noise in the background. People might even walk in, you know. But this is a lovely place we like to hang out. Great question. Really, really great question. My first response to that is that human design helps you truly clarify what success is to you on your terms. Okay? Because, as you said, and I've seen videos, by the way, of Darryl when he was a preacher.
In full flight.
In full flight. Right? And he looked like a young, radiant Tony Robbins. Right? And the effect he had was as powerful, if not more so. You know, because there was an innocence and an openness there in Darryl. And so he was doing something really, really well, but then maybe not feeling success on your terms in the way that satisfies you internally, right? Because not everyone in human design has success as their primary guide, but every human being is born to be successful.
Sure, I agree.
And to experience success. Okay. The key thing, though, is not do you have success, but you can have as much or as little as you want. But are you feeling it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you in touch with what one teacher of mine called the essence of success?
Well, that's right. You know, you can have $1 million in the bank and feel like a failure, and you can have $10 in the bank and feel like a success.
Yeah.
So how does human design help me feel like a success, irrespective of what I've got in the bank?
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you're a beggar and someone gives you $10, I've actually had that experience. 15. I was begging way back in my hippie days. I begged on a station in Holland, and someone gave me 15 guilders. It was like, whoa! There was a surge of excitement, you know, and a sense of success at that moment. But the key thing is, what is success in on your terms? See, human design talks about how you are designed as a unique human being to operate in the world. And that means every one of us has a unique design, right? And therefore, operating successfully for you is going to be a unique experience, which combines a whole bunch of different feelings and thoughts and ideas and possibilities, and then externalizing that, producing certain things. You know, there's the self-esteem you get from actually making something happen in the real world, you know, rather than just believing in it or feeling good about it. But for every single one of us, there is not a cookie cutter form of success. And human design gets you firstly in contact with you have a way of being successful that is unique to you, and it's on your terms. Now, that's the first thing. The second thing human design shows you is how to make decisions in a way that takes you to success on your terms. And that's crucial, because decisions are where the rubber hits the road in the real world. Now, I noticed you had something.
Well, I'm just, because I do know a bit about human design, thanks to you. And I've been investigating it for the last couple of years and applying it as it seems to fit with me. I have come to the understanding that for everyone's success can be defined by human design in a specific way, depending on your design.
Yeah.
So, for example, my design, the signature of success for me is being at peace, having peace in my life.
Yeah. You're definitely on the path to success when you're feeling that.
That's right. Irrespective of the money in the bank, irrespective of the, how well the kids are doing at school, and all of the externals of life. It brings me full circle to my opening statement that success is something within us. That when we're all by ourselves and no one's around, and the environment's neither this nor that in terms of influencing us, then do we internally feel success?
And for you as a manifestor, that manifests as being at peace with who you are.
Yeah.
Not just at peace, but at peace with who you are. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example. When you're, as a manifestor, someone described it 2 days to me, goes, "Oh, you mean I'm a Lamborghini?" I said, "Yes. You're a Formula One racing car or a Lamborghini." Now, does that mean if a Lamborghini can cross the bay here or can't cross the bay here, it's unsuccessful? No, because a Lamborghini, you put it on a good road, an autobahn or a racing track, and you'll see what success is for a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
But getting across the bay or even the river on its own,
you might need a boat.
You might need a boat, And so when a Lamborghini is humming, or take a Ferrari and it's got that note, that particular note Ferraris tune their cars to, that's that, whoa, I'm being a successful Ferrari.
Right. So that brings me to the question then, that with respect to human design. I know that it's your passion to bring human design to the broader audience that might be open to it. And as a businessman, a business person, I know that the average business person I deal with, whether it's in a boardroom, in a coffee shop, wherever I'm dealing with them, their greatest, most valuable commodity generally is time.
Right.
These days, there's just so much going on, so many things to respond to, that time has become more precious than anything at all. It's the greatest commodity. Now, I'm lucky where I live. I don't even work here. I'm kind of in semi-retirement. But I have a business back in Australia, and I go there from time to time and work in my business, but I'm on holiday a lot of the time. So it's easy for me, but I know the pressure that a lot of my associates feel, and that is they're on the treadmill like the mouse running around in the wheel. They just can't get off this damn thing. And so, yeah. So here we are, and I'm with you on this. I want to get human design out there to the broader audience as well. But, people don't have hours and hours to consider stuff. So, and because I do understand that human design is as much a lifestyle of learning as it is an event. It's more of a lifestyle of learning than it is an event.
It's not a seminar you go to and you finally got it at the end of the seminar. It's like learning to walk.
Yeah, exactly. So, what is the greatest attractor that you found to people to really get their attention in a heartbeat? And they go, I want more of that.
It's a good question, but you identified one of the greatest benefits of the whole thing, right? And when you said timing. Now, timing is the top factor in startup companies being successful or not. And I'm not just saying this off the top of my head. It's actually something that has been researched, and they came up the timing was twice as important as any other factor, including staff, resources, great ideas.
If you had $1 billion and you were about to launch the Model T Ford, probably your timing's
Timing's wrong, exactly. Okay.
This is a real market for the retro.
And we've got the best engineers in the world.
Yeah. But if you're inventing a flying car right now, that's Uber.
Yeah.
Maybe you've got a chance.
You've got a good chance. So here's the thing. I talked about making decisions. And a lot of people haven't explained why making decisions is so important. And the reason making decisions is so important is when you make a great decision, it tells you two things. Is the energy right to do this thing, whatever you're considering? And number one of all, is the timing right? Now, for people who are stressed, under a lot of pressure, with, haven't got time to even stop and do this thing, most of that is being caused by doing things the way you think they should, but the very way you're doing it creating stress.
Right.
In other words, they haven't quite figured out how to run the business elegantly, run their lives, be in a relationship in a way that's elegant, where every moment of time you're doing what's right for that time, and you're using the energy that's right.
Well, the thing in business, and it's interesting because I just read an article today by a young CEO, a millennial, 24 years of age, in a very successful business, employing quite a lot of people, about 50 people. And, they've got everything that I had in business 40 years ago, which was important to me 40 and 30 years ago, which was they had their 5-year goals, they had their 1-year goals, they broke those 1-year goals down into quarterly goals, and they had 2 meetings a week with individuals to target how they're going towards their weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual 5-year goals, right? So that's just how business has been run for decades, maybe centuries, a long time.
Thousands of years.
Yeah. So how do you inculcate human design, which is much more of a flowing thing, much more organic? See, what I just described is organised.
Yes.
There's nothing organic about it. It's completely organised.
It's purely mechanical.
It's purely mechanical. And human design claims to be mechanical. So talk to me about how do I have my 5-year plan, my 1-year plan, my quarterly plans, my weekly business meetings with my staff, and stay within the confines and benefits that human design offers without becoming, that doesn't suit my inner authority. Well, fuck your inner authority.
Exactly.
We've got quarterly goals to meet.
Yeah. Great question. And we only have an hour on this.
Not even. We've got 42
minutes. Okay, let's see if I can knock this off in 2 minutes. Right? It's a huge question, and it's so crucial. And part of it is to do with how the world is evolving. Part of it is to do with that. What you described is highly strategic, and I described it as mechanical. And you said human design is mechanical, which is true. The originator of human design made it very clear. It's purely mechanical. But as you and I discovered a few weeks, maybe months ago, it was only a few weeks ago, I think, music is mechanical.
Sure.
Because it's got a structure to it and everything like that. And it just hit me at that time. Human design is mechanical. It talks about the mechanics of how you operate as a physical human being in this world. It also describes how other creatures function, their mechanics. Right? But human design, and this is what a lot of people have missed, is also musical. Right?
So we're talking about art and science.
Yeah, well, there's a mechanics and a logic and a mechanics like but human beings aren't like robots, right? On that sense, there's a softness, there's a flowing, there's a timing. Timing in martial arts is not about doing the moves perfectly, right? It's about being able to do them perfectly in sync with the other person. There's a dancing there. So life is moving more and more and more as it's evolving towards that flowing, dancing thing without denying the mechanical nature of things. But what we've been doing is making everything totally structural. and then just rigid, logical and mechanical and trying to make it work that way. Now, yes, that does work in the right time, in the right energy, in the right circumstances. But then look at the practical reality. You've got your 5-year goals, and you've got your 1 year, 3 year, 1 month, 3 month, 9 month steps towards it, right? And then life shows up.
Yeah.
It's like, for instance, you've got it all figured out and the stock market crashes.
Sure.
Or this happens, that happens, a storm, somebody dies in your family.
Oh, exactly. I just saw on the news this morning, I was watching Bloomberg, and one of the chip makers for Apple, and Apple were one of their only clients,
right.
Apple's just announced that in the next 3 years it'll be making its own chips. All of a sudden, this company, which was worth, let's say, $1 billion, is now worth $400 million. Just like overnight, they lost 60% of their market capitalisation just fell off the board. Now, that's going to have a massive flow-on effect because the bank's going to be ringing them 3 minutes later going, we're calling up those loans because we loaned you against $1 billion, but now you're only worth $400 million, and hey, the loan's worth $500 million. You better top up, buddy. Well, this isn't what the matter is.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yes, life shows up. So what happens in a boardroom is you revisit your goals and you move your boundaries further out or further in according to market forces. That happens every day as well.
Yeah.
You don't need human design to tell you that.
And what's at the core of that?
The core of that, well, the bottom line of every business is making money, right? Unless you're a charity, you're only in business for one reason, to give a return to the shareholders. There's no other reason to be in business.
But how do you make those adjustments?
You look at market forces, so you look at what's happening in the moment, and you predict what's happening tomorrow, and next week and next year, and you make the best decision you can based on your predictions.
It's based on decisions.
It's based on decisions.
Right. Yeah. So you decided to structure it in a particular way that you think
the time was valid, and later on became.
And then you have to make decisions all the way through. So you can take a totally strategic approach, or you can take a very, pardon the language, snowflake approach, a flowing approach.
You could consult your medium and see what your dead father's got to say about it.
Or you could be more with like a friend of ours who's been a very successful businessman at a young age, who we just met on the weekend. We could, you could take time out to really get in the flow. And we had a conversation with this man, and he was always talking about being in the flow, going with the flow. Now, this is someone who's made tens of millions of dollars, right? Very successfully.
Yeah.
And now he's taking a different approach,
yeah.
But he's going to come back and amplify that 10 or 100 times. That's his goal, but he's going to be doing it in the flow. So you can take both of those approaches, and certain people with certain designs are more suited to one or the other, and some are suited to both. They can actually handle going back and forth between both.
Okay.
But the key thing is, whatever your plans, you need to know when you have a decision to make that's going to make all the difference. The first thing you need to know is when you have a decision to make. Because so many people make decisions when there's really no decision to make because they're panicking, or they're worried about this, or they're under pressure, or someone else is trying to force them to do something.
Right.
But when they don't actually have a decision to make. And it's really, really important to know, one, when you've got a decision to make.
Sure.
And then two, how you can make the best decisions that you will have no regrets over. Now, how do you do that? If something could give you the key to doing that, knowing exactly when you have a decision to make, and then make the best decision for that time and that place, where you know that you can distinguish between when you have the energy to do something and the timing is right to do something, and when you don't have the energy and the timing isn't right. And the thing is, right at that core point where the reality of living a business or developing a business, where the rubber hits the road, rather than just having the structure, or when you're flowing with life and then something turns up that you can't ignore, and you have to approach strategically, even if you've been, you've got to go and talk to the bank because you've got these wonderfully beautiful ideas, but you don't have the money there to get through them.
You lost 60% of your business.
Exactly, something really practical. You need to know how when you have a decision, is this a time I have to make a decision, or is this a time just to let it go for a while? And if it is the time to make a decision, exactly how do I make a decision in a way that I can trust I will have no regrets? Not I trust it will give me the decision, it will give me the result I think I want, but it will give me a result where I have no regrets, which will lead to another one with no regrets, which will inevitably lead to success on your terms. Okay? So that's where human design is just so powerful. It doesn't take away from your business plans or your, Richard Branson type more approach, which, by the way, he has a lot of business plans, but he gets other people to do it. Where you take these different, all it does is it goes, when the rubber hits the road at decision time, yes, this is the time to make a decision. I can't put it off, or it needs to be done now.
Yeah.
And then you know exactly how to do it, where you're going to get the best result on your terms.
Right.
Make sense?
So how long is it going to take a business leader, a CEO, company director, whatever, a business leader to get to a point realistically, given, if you didn't know your maths table, I could guarantee that as long as you weren't an imbecile, I could teach you that maths table in 12 months, for sure. You'd know the 1 times 2 times up to 12 times table, for sure, probably less, because you're smart, but I could teach that to you. If you didn't understand how to speak basic Thai, because you're here in Thailand at the minute, and you wanted to, because it was motivating you, and you would give me an hour a day, 3 times a week, in under a year, I'd have you speaking basic Thai if you applied yourself. Yeah. I know that. How long is it going to take me to learn human design? To a proficiency that I can be confident I'm making effective decisions within the structure that's me, and I'm experiencing the success that I'm designed to experience. How long is it going to take me?
Yeah, interesting question, because first thing you've got to really look at is where your decision-making process has got you so far.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the big thing with human design is up until now, we've been making decisions fundamentally based on what we think, but on our mind, using our mind. Human design says that is not the way to go anymore. You need to, there's a better option. That's what it says. There's a better option for making decisions. And that lies within you, and it's fundamentally for most people centered, well, it is for everybody, centered in their body making the decisions. Now, to answer your question I want to come back to that, but to answer your question, it's going to take as long as it takes for you to test doing it the old way, doing it the new way, and to trust enough to let go of doing it the old way and then really go with and learn from experience how to do it the new way.
So it requires some faith then?
It requires testing.
Right.
It requires testing it out. Right. Now, having been through that for a long time, 9 years in my case, and knowing people who've done it for 20 years, there is a phase where you experiment with it, but then you develop enough trust and enough relaxation into it that your mind lets go of trying to run the show and gets on doing all the other great things it's capable of doing. And you fundamentally trust it in your body far more often than not. Now, it's just...
That's based on experience.
Based on experience.
It's not really based on trust in the sense of of faith or belief. It's not a belief system. No. It's not a faith system.
No.
It's the trust like something you might eat that you know is good for you. You eat it enough. You take vitamin B tablets, for example.
Right.
you take vitamin B tablets or you have your coffee in the morning.
Yep.
And you immediately feel the hit of caffeine and you wake up. So once you've had that a few times, you go, oh, I'm a bit tired, I'll have a cup of coffee. And that's one solution to a tiredness problem. So is that what you're talking about with
Well, let me give you a simple...
You tried it and it actually works?
Yeah, well, let's put a really simple example. You get a tamarind seed, which is a tree, right, or an avocado seed or whatever. First time you ever do it, you're going to stick it in the ground and go, well, I've been told. You're having a little bit of faith, but what you're doing is testing it. Right? You stick it in the ground and you wait for a few days or weeks or whatever, and a sprout comes up.
Right.
Now, to really see what that seed is capable of, you're going to have to wait 4 or 5 years.
Fair enough.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, if somebody says to you, you know, if you really want a tamarind tree, you can create it with your mind, right?
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, and you go out there and you imagine having tamarinds or avocados or whatever, and, you know, after a while, you've wasted an awful lot of time. You're feeling really hungry, right? That's the state of the world at the moment, where we have some success, and it's been quite spectacular over the last 300 or 400 years. But the collateral damage is massive, the amount of wasted energy and wasted time. Well, thinking about having a delicious avocado and then trying to create it purely with your mind, right? There comes a point when you've got to go, okay.
God's already done that, mate.
Yeah, God's already done that.
We've got to see the ground now.
Yeah, but the decision is, okay, I can imagine, I can see, I can vision, I can do that. And even someone said, here's a seed, right? Yeah, but at some point, you've got to decide, are you going to put it in the ground or not? Now, if you happen to be in Bangkok on a freeway, it's not a good time and the energy isn't right.
Yeah.
Right? You can stick it on the freeway and someone will run it over in a second or two, right? And it's not going to grow. But if you find out, you know, a little while later you're in one of the country areas, you know, in Assam, Pechumon, or something like that, and there's some dirt there, and it's a month before rainy season, and you own the land, and you've got a whole bunch of seeds, it might be a good idea to stick those seeds in the ground. Now, the first time you do it, a few months later, you'll start seeing things sprout up, and it's like, that's exciting. There's no going back now. I know these seeds can produce something. And that's the type of thing that happens with human design. You get to a point, and it's slow to make progress, but once you start seeing the sprouts, there's no going back to the point where you go, I have no idea whether it's going to work. It's producing something. And then over the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years, that sprout turns into a plant that then grows into a tree. And then 4 or 5 years later, with both tamarinds and avocados, all of a sudden, tamarinds and avocados start showing up. And you go, man, this really works. I don't have to think about it now. I've got it. And that's success on your terms. Now, if people want a quick mental fix, that's been around for thousands of years. And in fact, in the last 40 or 50 years, probably a couple of 100 years, since the books on, you know, how to think positively and everything. Man, if that was going to solve our problems in the real world,
it's had a chance.
It's, you know, and yet there's still, and it's not that any of those things are bad. They've all benefited many, many people. But still, there's massive collateral damage. Right? So it comes to the point where we need to shift our decision-making focus. And it's going to take as long as it takes you on your terms to trust, to build enough trust within yourself to shift from making decisions with your mind, not getting rid of your mind, it's going to liberate your mind, but then really trust this thing that they call in human design inner authority, which is your particular decision-making process. Now, just like learning to walk, learning to play a guitar, learning to do anything that's fairly organic in the world, that takes skill, it takes time, human design is going to take that. And no one's going to be motivated to do that if making decisions with your mind is already getting you all the success that you want, both internally and externally. But that's rare to find, highly rare. And all the people I've met who have that internally and externally are not doing it with their mind. Now, I've met a lot of people like that. Not a lot, but it's, more than a handful in my life who are really living that on their own terms and being acknowledged throughout the world as being highly successful people. Now, one thing you notice is it's not just their mindset. It's not just... They use their minds. Most of them are brilliant thinkers and very clear thinkers and communicators. But they use something more within them. And every great teacher has said what you're looking for is within you. Now, in terms of practical decisions in the real world, human design identifies that quality within you that is designed to make the best decisions for you. And the fundamental outcome of that is you end up where you really belong, not where you think you belong. And where you really belong, your unique skills and gifts not only are able to express themselves, but they benefit the people around you. Now, okay, that sounds like there's going to be a bit of a transition for someone who's looking for a quick fix. It's going to give you a quick fix in the sense of giving you a viable option to what you've been doing.
Right.
And pretty quickly, I can sit down with a person for an hour or two and tell them exactly how it's going to work for them. But then they need to put it into practice, like learning to walk.
That's interesting. One of the things which was my attractive experience to human design, was the first time, among two of the first times I spoke with you. I don't remember precisely whether it was the first or second time, but it was very early in any conversations we ever had about human design. I didn't even really know you then. But you identified from my chart that my will centre was undefined. And that what that meant for me was that I had nothing to prove with my life. Now, I have this point of view which says this: whenever we hear something true, it resonates truly within us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Feels right.
Even if intellectually it doesn't resonate, even if academically and all the things we've ever learned teach us that it's not right, if it's true, if it's immutable, by that I mean immutable, unchangeable, cannot be any other way but this way, like gravity. If it's like that, then it resonates within, and something inside us goes, yeah, that's right, even if our head's going with a million questions. So, what happened to me in the first or second exposure to human design was you said you had nothing to prove in life, and inside me it went off like a Buddha's bell, and it's been vibrating in my head ever since that day, and would be the single most profound truth for me about human design. And I can come up with reasons why it went off like that, apart from the fact that it was true. Reasons like, for so much of my life, I've had the pressure from external forces dictating to me about what I need to prove in this area and prove in that area and prove to God and prove to church leaders and prove to my Sunday school teacher and prove to my high school teacher and prove. Those are all external things. Whether they impact the reality of it or not, I'm not sure. I think they probably do. Mm-hmm. But one thing I can't escape is that the truth meter went off in me, what I call my anti-BS meter. Anytime somebody talks to me and I know it's BS, I know it's BS. Yeah. Even if I don't know why it's BS, right. I know it's BS. Right. So that went off as, this. You can hang on to this one, Dad, this is good. And I've been hanging on to it ever since. Now, I got that in 30 seconds. What can you do for people that's going to go off in them like that every time you talk to a newbie about human design, when you're consulting a first-time consultee, what can you do that's going to go bing, and all the rest they're going to take, because you've set a foundational tone in their life.
Very, very, very good question.
Well, that's the business question of the year for you.
Sure, sure. So for me, I experience that as I shut up. It shuts me up. When someone says something that's absolutely true. What happened today before we did this video, I just, for 5 minutes, I didn't say a word because you were just speaking such truth. Okay. The answer to that question is, if I went and did a mental answer to that question, it would not resonate.
No.
Right? Because the way to do that is to be true to myself. If I want to set off a resonance in someone else of something that's true, I've got to be coming from a place where I'm true myself. Right? And the way to do that is through human design. Living my human design. Not the ultimate way, but the way to do it in terms of living successfully in the physical world, in what we call euphemistically the real world. Right? The way to do that is to truly, it's how you're going to be yourself. You've just got to be yourself. But we don't know what that is. You've got to be who you are physically. Maybe I can make it a little more clear. I have to be who I am in the physical world. Now, maybe I'm a spiritual person and I know, yes, I'm far greater than this. Maybe I've had an out-of-body experience, you know. Maybe I've had whatever. Maybe I've been brought up in church and I've got all these great ideas about who I really am. But the fact is I'm living in a physical body in the real world, right? And one of the things I've learned in life is I'm here to enjoy it. And if I'm not enjoying it, I've missed the point. Somewhat. Well, I'm certainly not enjoying it. Right? Now, to set that off, I have to start with knowing who I am and how I operate, and then come from that in approaching them.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean getting a whole bunch of ideas. The way I do it in a consultation, when I'm working one-on-one with somebody, is I initially always start with a question that works probably 80%, 90% of the time, not with everybody, particularly if they've only met me for the first time. But I say, how can I help? Now, the reason I do that is I operate best in the physical world when I'm in response to what is happening. So I want to know what's happening in your life, and they tell me, and then it's natural for me to be true to myself by being in response to that. Okay. What I discover is when I'm in response to that, whether I do it consciously or inadvertently, I hit that gong more often than I ever do when I'm trying to feed them a bunch of information about something. So it's not a matter of figuring out the system to press the button. There's been a lot of work done on that, by the way, in many psychological things. Okay. But to do that where it's genuine and life-changing and the person holds on to that for the whole life, I've examined a lot of those things and it's not as accurate as it often is made out to be. But when, again, it's about right timing, right energy. And the way I can do that is before I start trying to help someone else is to come from my design. And then the likelihood of that happening, and this has been my experience, increases exponentially.
Sure, I get that. You know, you're living from your own truth. I guess if you were looking at my chart for the first time and you see this will centre, you have got something to respond to. It's my chart.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I
don't ever recall you asking me how can I help you. You may have, but I don't remember it. And I'm highly unlikely to have given you anything to help me with because it's not my nature.
Yeah,
so it would have been a silly question to ask me in my case. But looking at my chart, you obviously saw something in response to my chart.
Yeah.
And
I
you
just
gave me that, and that stuck. You know,
because
would that work for other people?
Yes.
When you just have their chart and you go, you know what? I can see straight away about you this and pick something in response to that chart.
Yeah, that's how people. Heck, let's put it this way. That's how anybody who knows about human design can, and I use this word very deliberately, hook someone early on. Right? Now, that doesn't guarantee that their depth is there.
No.
But I've also got a saying that I've had all my life, way before I knew about human design, is the advanced work in anything is the basics done really well.
Right.
Now, I've been doing consultations way before I knew about human design. So there's been a lot of depth developed. And with human design, I've now been living it for 9 years. So there's depth developed. What really makes that gong ring versus just telling somebody that hooks them, right? I can look at the chart and go, you've got an open this center and that means that. And people go, and I've had this happen, and people go, wow, that's extraordinary. Yeah, now I'm interested, tell me more. But it doesn't have that, and I remember it 2 years later, quality. When you do that, when you tell them the basics and you've got depth, not only does it hook a person in the sense of grab their attention and interest and maybe stay with them as a thought, it goes right into the depth of who they are. Okay? So one, anybody who's interested in human design, really look at the basics, the fundamentals. You will start getting so many pieces of value out of just the basics, right? And that will be like, it will hook you and it will show you that it's got value. If you're dealing with someone who's got a lot of depth to their experience, it can enrich that value and make it stick with you, right? The other thing is, if you go into those basics and then take time to develop your experience of those basics, it might not hit you like a gong, but 4 years down the line, it will go so deep that it will have the same effect. Make sense?
Yeah, so there is no one size fits all, what you really, in summary.
Yeah, but there is a way that fits you.
Sure.
That's the other part of it.
Yeah. Well, when you look at somebody's chart, I guess you get a fairly quick insight into what might fit them.
I do, and a lot of that comes from, see, sometimes people tell me all about their lives when I say, how can I help? And I'm actually looking for practical things that I can use to anchor the information in their real life.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for them to tell me their whole life story.
Sure.
I'm just saying, give me something practical we can work with so it comes out of theory into the real world.
Yeah.
And I can show you in this case with your relationship or your business, this is how it shows up there. So can you see how it works? That's my particular thing. But the other thing is either working with someone who has depth or developing that depth in yourself will take an initial like, wow, that's so accurate. Wow, that's amazing. I get that all the time in consultations. Oh, now it makes sense. But either working with someone who has depth can help that really stick, and developing the depth by applying it in the real world and learning through your experience. There is nothing that will teach you about human design and what its value is with more depth and clarity than your own experience.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's true about
pretty much
almost
everything.
anything in life, isn't it? You know, the experience is what builds confidence.
Well, the thing is, what you're breaking free of is having your mind carry the burden of having to run your life, which inhibits the ability of the mind to truly realise its full potential. Because it's caught up with something it's only partially involved with, like a video game, taking the whole thing seriously.
Yeah, it gets weighed down, doesn't it? And it just can't pull that weight. When it's freed from that weight, then it comes up with all these neat ideas and inspirations. And
it revamps the business plan and then goes, this would work great. Now, when's the timing and the energy right? And it can have the business plan just waiting there, ready to launch, like we've done in our business. We've got this whole program and it's set up ready to launch, and all we're waiting for is the right timing. And we go, okay, might be a month, might be a year. But when the timing's right, the effect is far more successful than when you launch it when the timing's not right.
And some of these realizations, you know, we have to suffer our way towards them. I say that because there is a part of us that only learns from crisis, unfortunately. But at least if we learn from crisis, we've learned. The great tragedy is some people don't even learn from crisis. But, you know, once we've learned it, and that's a way that we learn it, but it was probably not until I hit around 50-ish that I learned that for me, I'm much more interested in being organic than I am in being organised. Now, it's not that I want to be disorganised, and it's not that I don't want to be organised.
You're very organised.
Yeah, I am. But I'm organised out of being organic, out of being an organism. I'm having an organism. I'm not wanting to create an organisation.
Yeah.
The organism will do that by itself. So, I am an organisation,
right?
An organism one.
Yeah.
And I want my business to reflect that as well. Yeah. So I want it to be an organism.
Right.
And that's not to say that nature's not organised, because nature's incredibly organised and sophisticated. You know,
so much so it can handle chaos and crisis quite easily.
Better than most people.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's the key, and I think that's something that I'm really looking for within human design, is that everything that helps me be more of an expressive organism is what suits me. Yeah. And I've found in the last 10 years of my life or so, 10, 12 years, that's been the most wonderful, satisfying, creative, peaceful place for me to be. And every time I express that more, the more I enjoy life. And every time I go over here to, you know, get up and running by my diary, which I almost don't do anymore, it just puts me under too much pressure.
Can you see what you just did in your body language? This is one of the key things. Human design is one of the greatest organic releases of stress, unnecessary stress.
Yeah.
Now, we need challenges. We need occasionally to be stressed.
Yeah.
We need healthy stress. But it's one of the greatest, most natural releases of non-essential stress, drama, you know, that actually doesn't take us anywhere except just burn up our energy and waste our resources, that sort of thing. And it doesn't do it all at once. It's not like a tap on the head and then, oh, you're stress-free forever.
Yeah.
You know, it just educates you, or it shows you how to live a life where you can literally choose not to buy into it, and realise that not buying into it actually helps you make far better decisions, have far more energy available, and get your flow and timing far more effective. Then, you know, it's the best surfers in the world. I mean, I'm talking because I've surfed for 30 years, and I've been watching the, you know, top surfers in the world over the last couple of days, actually. And you see the guy who's right at the top at the moment, young, but absolutely open. It's like the bigger the waves get, the more relaxed and open he becomes. And the more he opens up and reaches out and can compress and then can expand. There are other great surfers who are really good at compressing, keeping it together under stress, and then they can release. But he can compress right down and then open right up. And he's just taking surfing to a whole new level. Now, that's what I see happens when someone lives truly. He was born to surf. He loves to surf. He's really good at doing it. His body's designed to, you know. And I haven't quite looked at his human design chart, but it doesn't matter. I can see it in the real world. Well, human design really, through experience, shows you how to open up in that way. If you're someone who's very logical, hey, be at peace with that, or be satisfied with that. Do that because that's what you're really designed to do. If you're a more flowing experiential person, or a more group person, or a more individual person, come to terms with that, enjoy it, get the best out of it, and release all the other stuff that you're doing to other people to do.
Don't expect everybody to be like you.
Yeah,
or even to like you.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, one of the most powerful ways of getting along with other people I do want to work with has been understanding how unique and different I am, because that's given me the mental and emotional understanding to give them the space to be like themselves. I don't have to go and get with a bunch of like-minded people to feel safe.
Yeah.
I can be with people who are very different than me and recognise more quickly and effectively not only how to work with them, but how to work with them successfully, and how not to get triggered off by their differences, but to use those differences to create a buzzword in business, synergy and win-win and all that sort of stuff. Now, that was all theoretical for me for 30 years. Human design showed me how to do it. Having a family was all very theoretical for 30 years. Now I've got one, and I'm going, my God, this is what's so great about it. Because human design brought me from being an innovator and a visionary to being down to earth. It showed me how to make that transition. It's not that I didn't have a great life. I had a great life, and it had its moments for sure. But getting me to run a business, understanding what success is, all that has just become something I can now take my visionary, spiritual, whatever you want to call it, stuff, and apply it in the real world. And I can appreciate people who live a very down-to-earth, practical, don't BS me. You know, you've only got a minute. Life. Yeah, only got 2 minutes, okay? So I hand these 2 minutes over to you.
Well, it's been a great chat, and I'm sure that people listening out there at some time in the future will have some takeaway value.
Yeah.
And I can commend and recommend Christopher to any listener there today who is seeking to discover their unique design, how they fit in the world, and how they can best function in the world, and how they can feel that success, that peace, that satisfaction, that delight that only you are designed to experience in your own unique way, because we each have our separate definitions, and words are wonderful things. I'm a wordsmith, I love words, but they're also, you know, they say beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Well, the definition of a word is in the ear of the hearer. You know? And Christopher and I can attest to that, because we frequently say something, and what I say might be not what he hears, and what he says might not be what I hear. So we have to find that common ground, and we do. So I recommend you get an hour with Christopher, get 2 if you can, and pick his brains and let him have some input to you, because it will enrich and enhance your life and help you on your journey. And if there's any way we together can corporately help you, if you're interested in learning more about human design, Chris and I have knocked together a great program called Human Design for Innovators and Entrepreneurs. And you can find it on our website. It's an awesome program. And I don't say that because I've experienced it and I'm part of it. I say that because that's what other people are saying about it who are doing it and have done it in the past. And I know that you'll be the same. So I don't know if there's anything you need to say to wrap up.
No, I'll let you finish.
Otherwise, we're done.
Yeah, it's been
Thanks
a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us in the Art Cafe.
And thank you, Darryl.
You're welcome. Thank you. See you later, everybody.